after hours? Wow.
Monday 2.0. Those holiday Tuesdays are rough.
Well, in that case, cheers.
Cheers. Oh my God, Jason has a martini, groundbreaking.
Shocking, right? Shocking. Anyways, how are you doing?
I'm doing that really toxic thing that I do where I occasionally throw in a set of dates to Google flights and I narrow it down by airline alliance, and then I keep cross-checking it into Delta, seeing what the miles are versus the price.
So I was talking with fellow admin Ken Jarvis the other day. I kind of like Kayak's website better than
You know what? Let
Google.
me look at this while we chit chat on this.
I just think it's faster. I think it's a little cleaner. I've not done the alerts, so I don't know.
I'm going to compare it to that one that I sent you today.
Yes, okay.
Norway one. So let's compare that. For those of you just joining, Jason, I'll have you do the intro after this. It's a little informal. This is after hours. Hi, Pam. I found this flight earlier that I sent to Jason. It ended up being like Economy Light, which is what they call basic economy for Air France KLM. But it was round trip flights from New York City to Oslo, Norway for $234 total. I mean, like, that is just unreal. It's unreal. So right now we're seeing if it actually pulls on Kayak because our fellow admin likes to search Kayak.
And I've been using Kayak and not Google Flights.
Okay. I'm anxious to see if this pulls up.
All right, guys. So, as you know, or if you don't know, every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, Haley and I come on and talk about all the news in the travel world. But once in a while, we kind of like to just put our hair down, well, one of us, and just do an informal show, talk about some stuff, kind of let you guys see what we talk about behind the scenes. And we're going to do a this or that episode. I've created a bunch so we both have 5 questions for each other. We have not seen the questions the other one's going to ask. So there could be some similar overlaps. I'm excited. And so it's just this or that. Would you rather do this or that? We're going to keep it fun. This is what Haley and I talk about all the time. For those who don't know, I'm Jason Poole. I'm a travel advisor with Cruise Planners, which is an American Express travel representative. Love talking about cruises, love talking about traveling, love talking about airlines, hotels, just anything to do with travel. I just love talking about it. And my partner in crime, Miss Haley, how are you? Introduce yourself to those who do not know you.
Hello, my name is Haley. I own the hotel sales support company, Hospitality with a Flair. We like to make hotels money. Been doing hotels for 15 years now. I also travel blog and love gallivanting. And Jason, the consensus is in. So searching on Kayak, it does not pull that rate for Star Alliance. Or not Star Alliance, for SkyTeam. So, but when you pull that rate in Google Flights, it says it's via travel agent. So, like, if you throw that into Vax Vacations and stuff on your end, you'll be able to see that.
Interesting. Okay.
But somebody brought up how there's that new Norse Atlantic Airways that's trying to make some cut in. So if you're not like a Sky Alliance fan, there are some rates around there. One of them is nonstop for $270. Oof. I mean, it's economy.
Well, you know what? I have a feeling you and I will touch on some airline questions. So we flipped a coin earlier. And Haley gets to go first. So, Haley, start it off.
All right. And we also want to know in the comments section what you guys think. So please feel free to ask questions. This is after hours. This is very laid back. And I hope you're doing it with a cocktail. All right, Jason. And guys, feel free to answer in the comment section. Eastern or Western Mediterranean, if you could only do one. for the rest of your life?
Oh, for the rest of my Eastern Greece. I mean, okay. I think Western is great because it usually allows you to see more countries. You usually can see like Spain, France, and Italy with Western. On Eastern, unless it's a longer sailing, you typically just see like Rome, sometimes Naples, still Italy, and Greece. For the longer sailing, sometimes you can make it to Turkey, sometimes you can make it to Malta, sometimes you can make it to Croatia. But I'm going to say Eastern. I think Greece is, but I'm torn because Barcelona is my favorite city in the whole world. Actually, in like exactly 1 week and a couple hours, I am flying to Barcelona. So I still think if I only had to do one for the rest of my life, I would do Eastern. I just love Greece. Final answer, Eastern Caribbean.
Okay. You know, whenever I've looked at European cruises, I've just ended up gallivanting on land through Europe at this point. I've never been really swayed by Western Med itineraries for some reason. Like, I think I look at them as stuff that I would prefer to do via land. Like, I would like to go spend a few days on the French Riviera or Monaco.
Right, I get that. So I'm excited for the cruise I'm doing next week out of Barcelona. I'm going to 4 places that I've never been. But you have to remember, I've actually never done a true Western Med sailing.
Okay. Pam says she's this close to booking Greece.
Oh, I know. She's been texting me. I know. So like all of my cruises have been Eastern Med. I've done a repositioning from Athens to Barcelona. So we hit some of the traditional Western Med stops. I've done a transatlantic from Barcelona. So we hit some of the Western Med ports. But I've actually never done a true Western Med sailing. I'm doing it next week. It's a 9-night sailing on the Celebrity Beyond, leaving next weekend. So ask me. But I still think I'm going to say this was great. I loved it. But who knows? I mean, we're overnighting in Florence. I got a hotel in Florence. So not going back to the ship. I'm going to spend the night in Florence.
I'm glad you're doing that.
Me too. I think it'll be fun. Have dinner in Florence. And so ask me again in a couple weeks, but I think my answer will still be Eastern. But Greece is also a tough place to do by land if you want to see lots of it. I mean, you almost have to sign up for like a tour to island hop. It's just hard to unless you want to go to like one place and stay.
Yeah. I know, I totally get that. And just so you know, for those of you just joining us, I was picking through kayak while you were talking. I don't know if I can fully commit to kayak for flight searching.
You know what? We should save this for when Mr. Jarvis joins us.
Well, I mean, we're a little after hours here, but here's the thing. When I do that initial search, if I'm searching blanket, like what I was searching for today was this particular week in August, where Olivia's home. I'm like, I wonder if I can find a deal. And I can actually sort like New York City to Europe, and I can pick it by airline alliance.
Kayak does that.
Not when you search just like New York City to Europe.
Yes, you can. I've done it.
Prove it. Show it. Because I'm on here right now.
You have to scroll down to the left. So the alliances are on the left.
I'm gonna send you a screenshot. You're gonna see what I mean.
I promise.
I can do that.
Okay, while she's sitting that, I will prove her wrong. I have a question for Haley. It's funny you asked me that because my first question to you is very similar. It is, because you've done a lot of cruises. I'm curious, Eastern Caribbean or Western Caribbean?
So I'm going to make sure that Southern Caribbean is not included in this, like your ABC, your Southern.
Yeah, because I think
That
Southern will
that's a
win.
completely different thing. So I want to like
Yep.
draw that line. Mm, see, I used to say Eastern because I do think the islands Eastern are more aesthetically pleasing. They're very picturesque, but in the West, the snorkeling is better
Okay.
between Grand Cayman, Cosmo. So I'm probably actually going to lean more West because that's what I like to do. Uh,
Wow.
so there's my vote.
Wow. So
Were you, were
so
you
I think
not
we
were
both
you not
agree.
expecting that?
I think we both. No, I was not expecting that. Because most people say Eastern, right? Because you're Saint, you're Saint Lucia, Saint Martin, you're Saint Thomas, you're Saint Kitts, Nevis. Like I like getting.
Beautiful.
They're beautiful. The like British Virgin Islands, they're beautiful. But I'm glad we both can agree that we would both probably say Southern.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, the thing
Okay.
is with Western too, you can get a good deal on Western, and it all depends on the kind of activity that you're doing. I will say some of the best excursions I've done in my life in the Caribbean are on the Western itineraries.
Man, I do really, really love Cozumel. I do. I do.
Like
I
I
mean,
have
look.
done,
So a
yeah,
couple comments in here. Brian Cardy said you have to overnight in Florence. Agreed, Dr. Cardy. That's why I'm doing it. Pam is right. Pam was with me almost a year ago to the day. We did a 7-night sailing on the Summit out of St. Martin. One of the best cruises.
and I feel like with the Southern, you get that blend of East and West.
I
Because
agree.
like Bonaire is like world renowned for its like snorkeling and scuba diving and stuff like that, and they're pretty. But I don't know. I think on the Eastern Caribbean, like excursion wise, like kind of adventure wise, there's not as much. Like it's very generic. Like get on a booze cruise, a generic catamaran
I agree.
snorkeling. Even if it's
I
not
agree.
great snorkeling. I mean, like in Jamaica, even like I know Jamaica's not a big one, but like if you guys go do like the Blue Hole and do like the jumping off the waterfalls and doing the tubing down the White River in Jamaica, like that was
It's
next
crazy.
level.
I have never left the little compound area in Jamaica. Ever.
No,
Never.
wow. No, I
Well, because
like the Blue
Jamaica, you
Hole
have to remember,
is neat. Yeah.
Jamaica is not the most gay friendly place.
Mm.
So I just kind of play it safe
Same.
in
Yeah.
Jamaica. And actually, I haven't docked in Jamaica in years. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's been a hot minute for me. Like I said, I love that Blue Hole excursion. Would recommend it to anybody. It's not a cruise one. And what's crazy is like the company, it's called Liberty Tours. If anybody wants to know, it's Liberty Tours near Ochos Rios, and they'll come pick you up in Falmouth. Just FYI. Um, but they took us to this jerk joint after, like where they had like these smoked meats outside on fires and stuff. Amazing food. Like a year or so later, I was sitting in the living room at my old house working, and I was watching Food Network as I was working from home. And I looked up, and that was on like Fire Food Man. Like they featured it on
oh,
the
that's
food.
cool. That's cool. Okay, so keeping it in the Caribbean,
I'm just gonna give you this.
I'm gonna ask you a question because you
Mm,
just went to Hawaii, right? You and I went to Hawaii spring 2019. We had a great time.
mhm.
You just went to Hawaii again. If you had to pick one, I gave you a voucher for free flights, free hotel, spending money, and you got to pick a Hawaii-based cruise. So I have to be Norwegian, Pride of America, island hopping, or a 7-night cruise, and we'll say Western Caribbean, since that's now you admit that's your favorite.
Jason, you changed this.
Would you pick?
You're changing my answer.
Would you pick Hawaii, a 7-night Hawaii cruise, or a 7-night Western Caribbean cruise?
So I would probably go Hawaii in this situation. Normally, Jason asks me if I would pick Hawaii or Caribbean standard, or like just at face value. And generally
I mean,
speaking,
if you want an addendum and like pretend they're a land trip, you can answer it separately if you want.
well, it's not even that. It's the point of Hawaii is expensive. It is beautiful. Never going to knock this. It is beautiful. But for me, living on the East Coast,
Yeah.
that is a haul and it is expensive there. Like, people, when they saw that I went to Hawaii, they're like, oh, that's so nice. I get to go to Hawaii a lot differently than a lot of people. Like working in hotels, I have access to employee rates from Hilton, Marriott, Choice, IHG, all these companies. So I go to Hawaii for a fraction of the cost. And really the only reason I went again recently was because of that 24-hour COVID testing coming back. I would have been in Europe easily. But with Olivia, in school and stuff, I didn't want to take that risk. Hawaii is beautiful. And if you can do it for like an all expense paid deal or like something really great, absolutely. The snorkeling, I went to the best snorkeling I've ever been to this last trip on the Big Island. Like it was just breathtaking.
So stupid question. There's a Disney in Hawaii?
Yeah, there's a Disney resort. It's Aulani. It's on the Big Island, or it's on Oahu.
Okay.
Thanks, travel agent Jason.
But Disney is not my area. I don't know everything about everything. Like, a Disney to me, like, so guys, I sent Haley a text the other night. I listened to a podcast by my favorite comedian, Bill Maher, and he was joking about like grown adults who go to Disney. And I'm like, thank you. This is what I have said for years. I think it's a little weird for grown, like, adults.
You guys know if there was like
go to Disney. I think it's a little weird. I'm sorry.
Jason would be there all the time. It would be like
what?
If there's a Star Trek theme park, you would just like go there all the time. You'd have an annual pass and you'd crap on anybody that said that it was stupid.
But that's different. Star Trek is not made for elementary school kids. It's like it's TV 14. It's like the movies are PG. I haven't been to the Star Wars park, have I?
It's crazy. But
I'm sure it'd be great, but I haven't been. Have
I? It's so immersive. It's so immersive. Like,
I'm sure it'd be great. I don't know. I don't think about Disney because I'm an adult and I don't have kids, so I don't really know Disney.
Guys, we'll have to change his mind sometimes. Although Josh agrees with you, Jason.
Thank you. All right, your question.
But yeah, so pretty much just to sum that up, is you can get a lot of the same attributes in the Caribbean. Like if you're looking for that aesthetic, go look at St. Lucia. Get it all inclusive.
Right, St. Lucia has that,
and it's a shorter flight.
Okay. Haley, your question.
Dr. Cardi disagrees with you, sir. All of Disney is not for children. I respectfully disagree, Jason. I'm right there with you, Mr. Cardi.
Well, Dr. Cardi, I can't wait to see you in line with the kiddos at Epcot. It'll be a cute photo.
At Epcot, you don't even know what's like really at Epcot. That's like the most.
I went as a kid. When I was a kid, I went.
But it's different now too. It's the more adult of the theme parks. Anyway,
as the Apostle Paul said, when I was a child, I spake as a child. I did childish things.
I'm taking my time back. The chair from Nashville needs to sit down in STFU.
Okay, go. Next question.
All right. Case in point today. There is an insane deal on an economy ticket, not basic, because we'll kind of go into that in this conversation. an economy ticket to go, let's say there's a gap in your schedule in the summer where you have some gap time, and there was an insane deal, like one of these $300 round trip to Europe, and you could go hop on the Beyond again, or who knows what. Are you taking it or are you staying home?
Is it for me or for a client?
For you.
Okay, give me price points. Like how much is economy? How much is premium select? How
Like
much
let's
is like
let's say economy was $300 and Delta One was like $4,000. So that means premium economy is probably around, we'll say 2,800.
so I am never flying economy to Europe. Period. Hands down. Never. I will never, ever fly to Europe in economy. Ever.
What about economy? What about Comfort Plus?
No, I will do premium select or Delta One to Europe. Like, so I would. So the answer is
Guys,
I
leave
would
a
pass
comment
me.
here. I want to know what the rest of the crowd is going to say about this. Because I disagree with you. If I could get I mean, granted, with economy, you and I get the auto bump as long as it's available. To Comfort Plus. But if it wasn't a crazy flight schedule, I would
So I don't mind economy. For example, like when I went to the Bahamas, I booked that flight very last minute. It's a 30-minute flight to Atlanta, and it's 90 minutes Atlanta to Nassau. I was economy round trip because it was too late. I didn't get the first class upgrade. It was fine. Economy on the short flight, I don't mind doing it for a short trip. Pam House Premium Economy.
We'll say 2,000, Pam. We're gonna say 2,000 for Comfort Plus.
So I mean, premium. So Pam, if you're on like at least Delta, like premium select is a nice Delta Planes domestic first class, right? Now, I do think the food and service should be more indicative of first class. It's not. It's the amenity kit is the Delta One amenity kit, which is nice.
Which is weird because it's marketed that the food should be different.
I know, but I got the same crap that economy got. Yeah. But I mean, it's nice. I mean, so like I'm looking at some flights in October for a last minute trip, and Delta One, I just cannot find a Delta One flight the times that work. So I really might just book premium select and hope for, an offer for Delta One. So my answer is I will not fly economy to Europe no matter how cheap it is. Final answer.
Wow. See, Josh said he would do it if it was nonstop. And like that's kind of where I'm along. Like if it's nonstop.
I live in Nashville. There's no actually there is nonstop. I can do British Airways to London nonstop.
Here's the thing. If I like flew my little commuter flight to JFK, like I don't count that. I'm gonna go hang out in a lounge and chill out. But I'm saying it's not like JFK to Amsterdam to Charles de Gaulle or something like that. I'd be a little less inclined there, but I mean, get me there. I'm okay with it.
In my opinion,
the right circumstances. And so is Dr. Cardi.
In my opinion, the flight is part of the vacation. When you get to the airport, you are on holiday. That's why I like going to the lounge. I want an upgraded experience. This is not a work trip. I am on holiday. And I want to be treated as if I'm on holiday from the moment I leave until the moment I return. And that's just how I feel. I don't want to fly in the back for $400 to go on the Celebrity Beyond in a suite, but get there acting like I'm Mitt Romney's dog on the top of the car. Okay?
That was so vivid. Let's see here. Dr. Cardi says, pull an all-nighter the night before and just fall asleep on the plane. Your eyes still see your
I actually
eyelids
can.
exactly the same, whether you're in coach or first class.
I actually disagree. I cannot sleep sitting upright. Cannot. I've tried. Unless Dr. Cardi wants to prescribe me some medicine to really knock me out. And in that case, Dr. Cardi, I will gladly pay you a copay.
Just have an audible. Journey with Josh as the arrow and says, can't afford business or first unless I get a free upgrade. I mean, we're not going to lie. Jason and I have looked at some of these like Delta One prices and we're like, oh!
Yeah, I mean, it can be expensive. Okay, so, okay. All right, so Haley, on this path, I have a question for you.
Ooh.
Let's say you're looking at some flights. And Delta Premium Select, which is the premium economy, which is nice. It's the domestic first class seats. It's an incline. It's nice. It's really nice.
Well, I think it's garbage when they put more than two next to each other. That's just going to be my note in here.
So let's pretend you were looking at flights, Haley. Premium Select Delta is $2,000 round trip. Okay? Which is a little high for Premium Select. It is a little high. But you found American round trip business class for $2,000. Are you sticking with SkyTeam, or are you being a traitor and going with One World?
I love how you're taking that from me now. If you guys don't know, I tease Jarvis with his One World and I call it hashtag Third World.
Third World. Anyway.
So there's some things that come into play here. If I've already cleared my status or I have it mapped out to keep my status, I would submit a challenger form and do AA business. Because then in essence, I could earn comparable status and have it on 2 airlines. Because, if I've already hit my route with Delta, that $2,000, like I don't need the spend. I don't necessarily need the miles. And it's not like that miles is going to bump me over to like Diamond. I'm more willing to play. What would you do?
Premium Select 2000, final answer.
Everybody, can you comment in here? Brian Cardi goes, traitor, wow. See?
Loyalty has to mean something, right? Because when American cancels your flight, you're going to be really pissed.
I use my travel insurance and go book that Delta flight.
That's true. Okay. That's true. Okay.
So that kind of leads into a good question for you, Jason.
Okay.
If you had the opportunity, because you've already achieved your status with Delta, to do a challenge, for those of you that don't know what a challenge is you can compare your status with One World, Star Alliance, United American to match. And what you have to do is you have to fly like a small amount to achieve that comparable status. So not the full amount that's normally required. So you can essence double dip. Who are you going with to challenge and get a second status with One World or Star Alliance?
So that's a great question. So living in Nashville, I would do One World. American has a lounge at BNA. United does not. There is nonstop flights with British Airways, Nashville to London. They're expensive. I probably wouldn't take them. I'd probably still go to JFK and then London. There's nonstop flights, American, Nashville, Miami. United has very little presence in Nashville. So living in Nashville, I would pick One World. Also,
Star Alliance.
Hold on. If I lived elsewhere, maybe. But here's the thing: I really hate EWR. I hope Anne
Yeah,
is not in here.
it's
If
like a
Anne,
third
if you're in
world
here, I'm
country. Speaking of
sorry.
third world,
Anne, I'm sorry. I think Newark is. I have been to airports nicer in third world countries. Okay, like I think Newark is a complete shit show.
it is. I will say one thing I will give Newark is their terminals once you get past the shit show of security and stuff. Oh, sorry. The gates are laid out nicer. It's not like JFK where you have a half mile of gates plus
Yes,
a half mile
so
to get to those gates.
right. So I'm gonna say living in Nashville, I'm gonna say One World. So you would say Star Alliance? You wanna go to Newark?
Yes, I would take that because here's for me where I live, I am a regional city, anyways. I have a
No,
sprinkle of
it's
everything.
Nashville. It's Nashville.
Yeah, but I don't have lounges. So I can either go there or go O'Hare. Now, as much as I hate O'Hare, there's still a lot of options out of there. And I think the partners are a little better. And I've also seen better premium cabin pricing when I've searched
Hey, so also,
comparatively across.
and from a travel agent side, I see more deals on the wholesale bulk rates for Star Alliance than I do One World. Don't get me wrong, One World's two, Sky Team is non-existent in the
Non-existent. Except for this one deal
non-existent.
I found today, but it's for basic economy.
And guys, if you don't know, if you're trying to track status, basic economy does not give you MQMs, MQDs. You don't even know
So
Sky
guys, I would have
Miles.
booked this if it was regular economy today. If this was regular economy, I would have booked it. I would have gone to Norway. See you later. But I cannot give that up right now because I still have to finish earning my status for the year. So those are a lot of
Okay,
miles up.
so question number 4.
Okay.
You guys know I flirted with Marriott. I'm actually staying at a Marriott in Barcelona in a week.
I can't wait.
I have now gone back to my love of Hyatt. Haley sometimes gives me a little crap for Hyatt. So I have a question. Haley, if you didn't have employee rates, would you do Marriott, Bonvoy, or Hyatt World of Hyatt?
No contest, Bonvoy. Because amount of hotels worldwide, my points go further, and I get my status with my American Express Platinum card. We do have a question in the chat before you enter this. Jason.
Hold on.
Okay.
I saw it. We'll go back. So a forthcoming hack is coming to turn your Royal Caribbean and celebrity status into World of Hyatt Explorist.
See, with that coming in, could maybe sway me a little bit. And with Hyatt starting to add more like the all-inclusive, that could sway me more. But as it stands today, asking me this, it is Marriott for that reason. And I can transfer actually from both of my credit cards. Hyatt has some high points with like them still having the standard reward redemption. I think consistency wise across the brands, you're going to get more consistency at a Hyatt because there's not as many. Like there's like 700-ish something Hyatts. like official Hyatt's, not purchased all inclusives. So it's easier to maintain that consistency on a smaller level. So I already know what your answer is. So
Okay. You were have to ask me a question from the chat.
yeah, it's a question from the chat. As a TA, do you book flights and can't you get better deals?
Yeah, so this is the eternal discussion that Haley and I have, right? So I have access to what's called bulk rates. There's something called wholesale rates. Think of them in the cruising world or hotel world. It's like group rates, right? So Star Alliance and One World have lots of bulk rates or wholesale rates available. So I mean, I booked someone on the transatlantic that I'm doing in October to out of Rome. The website was like $2,000 business class. I got them in it for like $1,500. So I saved them like $500, right? So for like One World and Star Alliance, I can typically save people, especially in business class, a decent amount of money. SkyTeam, I often
My
book
team is
them.
so high on themselves and their pricing. We have a really toxic relationship and like to waste money
Look,
sometimes.
they're the number one airline in the world, or the alliance in the world. I mean, Delta is the number one rated airline in the world for a reason. You agree with that?
We pay that money.
We pay it, right? I mean, look, when I go on my personal vacations and I want a premium cruise line experience, there are other options than Celebrity. I choose to pay more for Celebrity than to Holland America or Princess in the premium market because I think the best matters, right? So if I'm booking a premium cruise, I'm going with Celebrity because I think they're the best. I mean, they're often rated number one, right? I don't want a second tier, third tier premium experience. If I'm flying business class, I don't want a second tier or third tier business class experience.
See, but at the same time, also, you kind of like when it starts to come into the partner equation. Here's the thing, and this is what kind of makes me flirt with the idea sometimes, especially once I already like get my Delta status for the year. I can fly on Singapore and a true first class with my points, sometimes price hacking, and still earn United points.
I mean, look, United has the most partners. I mean, if you don't know, Star Alliance, that's United, TAP, Singapore Airlines, they were the first ones to do it. And I think SkyTeam was 2. I think One World was 3.
Did you see their new promo, that new credit card they're doing? Sorry, side note, thinking of old things. The Amex with the...
I did.
Do you want one?
Kind of. All right, so I think it's time for question number 4 from you.
It is. And it kind of goes back to what we discussed earlier. So I think I already know your answer. But do you want to travel more or travel less with better experiences?
So that's a great question. So pre-pandemic, I was doing 10 to 12 trips a year, mostly cruises. And the vast majority of them were to the Caribbean. Post-pandemic, I have decided
Uh-oh.
Oh my goodness!
The battle has been joined.
What?
I texted him and said, I'm like, you need to get in here. Jason needs to be taken down a peg.
Let us have this discussion. And I have not shaved, so we're going to make this
Me either.
after hours Like, is this about Comfort Plus?
We're
Sure
past that.
is.
No, actually,
Hold
no. I'm actually, hold on. I'm glad you're here because Haley asked me a question that I asked you when you were on. Haley just asked me, would you rather, well, ask the question, Haley.
Oh, the one I just asked?
Yes.
Travel more frequently or travel less but more high-end luxury?
And you know what? I'm going to keep the answer that I said before. Travel more frequently.
Thank
You
you.
know, and look, everybody's not at the same level. I would say levels, right? But everybody's not there. And let's face it, we all didn't start at the level we're at now.
No.
So I can remember my first vacation in a 200 square foot room in the Crystal Palace, which is now, you know, on the grounds of the Baha Mar, but it was purple, owned by Carnival Cruise Lines at the time, right? And I thought it was wonderful. Just being there is all that matters. So we get a little crazy with the high-end stuff. Just being there, it's the same. It's you can have a very similar experience. And look, I'm a sweet guy, right? I'm a 5-star guy, right? But hey, if I couldn't afford it, I would be there still in my inside cabin, or in my one of Haley's hotels. Those letter hotels, you know. IGS, IHS.
So I actually I agree with you, Ken.
Mhm.
But for me personally, you know, someone in my late 30s, I've done the.
Is that old?
Hey, I'm
You're
younger
not
than
late.
you.
You're not late.
That's true.
I have decided that I personally
Yeah.
would rather go on fewer trips,
Mhm.
but they be bigger. So I'm focusing more on Europe.
Yeah.
So that's just my personal, right? So I can
But I
only
think
go to
that's
the
great,
Caribbean.
right? I think it's also fair though that you talk about the evolution, right? I knew you when you used to take Southwest everywhere,
Oh, 100%.
right?
Yeah.
And you stayed in old Marriott's, right, with orange and brown.
No, no, it was high. I've been a high girl for a while.
So like you've evolved, and
Right.
that's what's great about America, right? It's the evolution. Now, I think we also need to be careful that because that's your personal opinion, there's some people that want to take 3 Caribbean cruises going to Grand Cayman, Labadee, and Cozumel, you know, over and over and over again. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's just not what you would prefer to do. And oh, by the way, I used to tell you all the time, how come you don't go to Europe when I was going to Europe every year? And you're like, yeah, I'll get there. We're having this discussion about Asia now, right? I keep telling you, when you go into Asia, right?
I'm sorry that a certain person with whom I was married didn't want to go to Europe. I've shed that from my life.
Leave her out of this. Oh, I'm sorry.
So Jarvis, he called me a dirty trader because one of the questions he asked.
I got him. He's all red. I got him.
Yes.
He's probably texting me.
He asked me if I would do Delta Premium Select for $2,000, or if I would do American Airlines Business for $2,000. I said if I had already achieved my status for the year with Delta, and this was say towards the end of the year, I would do a challenge and take that AA flight.
Mm.
And he was like, "What? You're a traitor."
The whole airline thing is just gotten out of hand, right? I hate to say this look, full transparency, I call the Delta people a cult because they think what they're getting is significantly better than the other two major carriers.
You mean the number one airline in the world? Okay, go ahead.
No, the largest airline in the world you're referring to, right? With the biggest alliance? Is that what you're talking about?
I mean,
Oh, you're talking about Delta, the second airline. See, we can
I'm
do
thinking
this
the
all
number one
day.
rated. Oh,
What
hold on. So if the number one's most important, then I can't wait to see you on Carnival, Princess, and Holland America soon, Kenneth.
Mardi Gras looks amazing. I would take Mardi Gras in a second. The big
I'll book it
Prima,
right now.
I would
Let's
jump
go.
on MCL Prima anytime. Right? So
I mean,
yes,
they're number
you can
three.
see.
They're number three.
Here's the thing that we need to make sure, right? Because I know you post a lot of stuff from the points guy who gets money from Delta. Go back to his survey last year where he talked about who the number one airline is. So let's just speak in facts. It was not Delta. So like we can always find studies that say you're number one. What I'm trying to say to our viewers is don't let loyalty and our allegiance to certain airlines, don't let that fool you. There is significant slight difference between Delta, American, and United, just like there's a slight difference between Royal, NCL, and whoever you want to put in that other category. We just what we like, we tend to say is better when it's not necessarily the case. And this year, I've flown on Delta and American this year, and it was the exact same. Actually, the Delta Club, the food was uncooked, right?
Where was the club? What club?
It was Orlando.
That's not a real club.
It said Sky Club on it.
It
Right,
shouldn't.
Like I don't want to confuse our own bantering with the service that Today in Travel provides. The big airlines, they're very, very close to each other.
Oh yeah. So Jarvis, that begs to differ. We were talking about, I've debated this year doing a challenge with one of the other two. I'm very close to rounding off my platinum. I don't think diamond's necessarily in striking distance for me. And what I've noticed, generally speaking, Star Alliance on the business class cabin to Europe has some really great deals.
They do.
And I've been flirting with that, but Jason's like, I would probably do One World. What is your opinion? Who would be your second challenge if you could do a challenge there?
So airline loyalty depends where you live. So I have the luxury of having, it's not a hub, but it's a premier city for AA with the two airports. I have United in Newark, which is their super hub, one of their super hubs. And then Delta, LaGuardia is a focus city for them. So for me, the flexibility of all three, again, it matters where you're traveling. And I completely agree. You go on kayak. When I go on kayak, Star Alliance is always the cheapest, especially when you go to Europe. And then, I say, what's the opportunity cost of getting my One World points and maintaining my status? And am I willing to pay a little more? But, I will tell you, I was recently looking at a trip a couple of years ago, and the One World prices were through the roof. So I either said, I'm going to have to go on a different airline. Now, I was lucky because one of the when Air to Sea was user friendly. That's a discussion for another show.
And a lot more alcohol.
You could basically hack it. I was able to get a good flight on One World. But look, I want to get there. I'm a larger person, right? So I'm not going to sit 10 hours in coach. So I'm going to need at least a premium economy seat. And look, price matters, especially now that I'm not traveling so much for work. I'm not traveling at all for work, right? Status doesn't matter. If I want to go somewhere, I'll either buy first class or I'll sit in the back. When I was working and for domestic, I couldn't buy first class. I had to buy coach. Then status mattered because I needed the free upgrades. But when I'm going somewhere now, I'm basically buying first class, so status matters less. Now, if I'm going to Asia, I want to have some status because that top status in Asia really makes a difference with the better lounges and partner upgrades. Like I've been upgraded on Cathay Pacific, which I shouldn't have. It's not in the contract. But once they saw I was One World Emerald, they were like, "Oh, Mr. Jarvis, please come up here." And that happened going to India as well. And you know how long that flight is. So
Yeah, I've had such a hard time kind of picking that out. And I mean, like, for me being such a small regional, I have everything, so I'm going to a hub first and first.
so what's the dominant airline in your home airport?
It really isn't.
Don't have one.
You have a little bit of Delta, a little bit of AA, a little bit of United, Southwest, Frontier, JetBlue.
Gotcha.
Like, it's just kind of a sprinkle. I'm gonna have to fly to a hub, no matter where I'm going.
Mm.
So that's where it lines up for me. But Mr. Prissy Pants over here, I'm not going.
He's bougie, so you know.
Well, I think that's my question, Jason. Star Alliance business class to Europe for 2,000. Jason, we can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Maybe that's a good thing.
Let's just get rid of him and let's just have it the Ken and Haley with the Flair show.
Yeah, we'll just hold on 1 second. He's kidding.
Maybe your AirPods are dead.
Oh, he's a fool. Let's see here. But Jarvis, what would you do? Pay 2,000 on Air Alliance or 4,000 on One World business class round trip Europe?
I would be going on the cheaper flight.
Jason.
Look, the Premium Select product line and the Premium Economy on like the American carriers and on BA on the One World carriers, it's domestic first class. So we would easily fly to LA in domestic first class. What's the difference? You're more comfortable. It's more room, better food. You know, the lay flat, but take a sleeping pill and what's the difference?
Jason, we still can't hear you. But I mean, Jarvis, if you were going to like Barcelona to catch the Edge or Beyond or Wonder.
Yes.
And it was, there you are. And round trip American business was 4,000. And round trip Star Alliance for business was 2,000. What are you going?
Look, the answer that I'm going to say on Today in Travel is the cheaper one. The reality of the situation is especially, well, look, let's face it. The frequent flyer programs, at least my frequent flyer program, cares more about my credit card spend now than my miles. Right? So I've barely flown this year, and I'm like third level status because of my credit card spend. So, you know, I'm going to weigh all of that. Look, I'm probably going to take the American flight, but I'm going to be mad that I'm spending $2,000 more to do it.
Well, I think one of the things that I mentioned to Jason that, you know, like he forgets when he roasts me is that there's times I'm buying 3 tickets.
Oh, that multiple adds up very, very quickly.
And as you know, it does. Like, you know, I mean, I would be more likely if I'm able to hit my status on my own, do a challenge, grab a Star Alliance, grab a One World.
So you know what I also like to do, one of my life hacks? I also like to look at major entry ports in Europe. So One World has a joint venture where Iberia, British Airways, and American, they have code sharing and you get full status. So normally you need to be on your home airline's actual plane to get the multiple kickers in when you're in business class. It's not like that for the joint venture. Also, there are some very, very cheap London and Madrid flights. So I will definitely look for business class to London and then coach on the internal segment in Europe. And I've saved thousands of dollars by doing
That's a great tip, you guys. You heard it here first.
And when you use the same itinerary, your bags get transferred. You earn all the status points. You can use their lounges. in the connection cities, it is not. It's
Oh,
not bad.
that tag transfer is so nice because, like, so many times I will book that Rochester JFK flight separate,
Yes.
and it will save me $1,000.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it's ridiculous, and the fact they just connect the bags, you don't gotta go get them. It's amazing. Jason, I think you had one more question for me.
I did. So the last question is, and this kind of the background of our trip to Cancun. When we left the resort and we were in Playa and we saw the Thompson downtown, would you be, let's say we were going to go to Cancun or Playa specifically again, would you do all inclusive, maybe better than where we stayed, or would you be open to a European style, which is non all inclusive?
I'd be open to the not all inclusive because I have found I am not an all inclusive girl. The cocktails are not great. I'd rather pay for a better cocktail.
Yeah, I mean, so I agree with you, right? Like, so I just went to the Bahamas. I could have easily stayed at the Sandals, in the Bahamas. I chose the Grand Hyatt Baha Mar. Drink for more, right? I mean, it was more expensive. Maybe in the long run, maybe not than all-inclusive would have been. But I agree with you. I would rather. So if we go to Playa again, I'm staying at the Thompson.
Jarvis?
I'm not an all-inclusive person at all. I don't find the food to be. Now, look, I haven't stayed at the high-end all-inclusives. I know Jason sells a lot of the good all-inclusives, which I've never experienced them. But the ones that I have been on, the food wasn't great. It was sub-Windjammer. And the drinks were
I would have killed for the Windjammer when Haley and I were at this all-inclusive in Mexico. Would have killed for the Windjammer.
Yeah.
And what sucks is like the rooms were beautiful.
Yeah.
Property was beautiful. Pools were wonderful. Oh God, like I don't know. I'm just told to drink cheaply.
Yeah.
And the problem I have with some of the all-inclusive, I mean, the one I stayed when we did, was after 6 or 7 o'clock at night, there was nothing going on.
Really? And were you in the area?
Probably had some booze. But I mean, the last one I stayed at, it wasn't necessarily bumping either, and it was an adult only one.
And you were the youngest person by 30 years?
Now, so but with Hyatt purchasing some of those resorts in Mexico, I could be talked into trying one of those higher end Hyatt properties now.
Zivas?
Zivas?
Something, yeah. Something
One is adults only, and one is family.
Let's go to the family one, Jason.
Oh God, that's something I've noticed as I've gotten older too, and like with the fact of my kid getting older. When I'm not traveling with her, this is kind of when I am again. Oh God,
All right. Well, that's been an hour. Haley, was that it for the questions, or is that it?
That was it for the questions. Jarvis, we want to close out. Well, thank you so much for joining to take Jason down a peg.
Always a pleasure to be on Today in Travel. Make sure you join our Facebook group. We need to continue to grow membership there. I love taking Mr. Poole down a peg.
Oh, and what's your next trip? Let's close out with that.
What was that?
What's your next trip?
So my next trip is the Beyond. Hopefully I'll be there. And then after that, I have the 8-day Oasis, the only 9-day Oasis in August. So
Out of Bayonne.
out of Bayonne.
So Kim, actually, while we were going live, Delta emailed me to select my meal for my flight to Barcelona.
Oh wait, it's less than 30 days. So I guess
No, I'm sorry, it's 7 days. 7 days.
Okay. What did you pick? The short ribs?
I haven't opened the email, but I'll pick the tenderloin, short ribs, whatever it is.
Well, that's all you ever have anyway, right? The Jason filet.
The Jason filet with his bountiful palate.
Hey,
Well,
oh,
not to brag, but next week I have to go to Detroit
Ooh,
for work. And then I have to put on some photos for an Airbnb client in North Salem.
nice.
But it's Alaska. I'm home for a little bit. This is my little stretch from home.
Very nice.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Don't forget to follow, share more tips and travel coming to this channel. Please share and subscribe. Bye, guys.